Finish my name.
Okay, there we are. Good morning, everybody. It's a Wednesday morning, and we continue our discussion with the Senate Transportation Committee on H 736. And I guess we've got a few things to go over. And Anthea, would you like to take us through it, or?
Sure. So for the record, Anthea Dexter Cooper from the Office of Legislative Counsel. I am hopeful that you can see a document that says draft number 1.1 H 736 dated yesterday 10/18 on your screen.
Yeah, just if you want to change Senator Bertlick's name first, he'd be reporting it. And
Okay.
That'd be helpful because
Yep.
he did a good job yesterday, so nobody questioned him.
I will put Senator Perchlik first.
Well, she was confused.
Okay, so what this amendment does,
Come on, Andy. Know that.
Okay,
I like it.
okay, so the first thing that this amendment does is in that summary section, section 2, it changes what the House proposed, which was that it would say section 5D of this act authorizes $50,000 for incentives under a continuation of the e-bikes incentives, which will be the state's program for the incentives for e-bikes. And since you are making it so that it's not necessarily a continuation of the prior program, it's just going to say section 5D of this act authorizes $50,000 for e-bike incentives and capped administrative costs. And you're going to leave it to the agency to figure out what the incentive amount should be. Looking at that on your side-by-side, this would be taking out some text that the House had included, and I'll make this bigger so you can see it. So this is really just the summary section change to reflect the change that you're going to be making in your next instance of amendment.
so are you going from this when you're reporting?
Yeah,
No, just do what the House does.
yeah, this is what they'll pass.
Okay.
This was what will be in the calendar.
Okay.
Okay, so then your second instance of amendment is actually making that change in section 5, which is where you have all of the authorizations for the different incentive programs. So again, it's much shorter. It's not linking it to the prior program. It's just saying the agency is authorized to spend up to $50,000 as appropriated in the budget on an e-bike incentive program. And then looking to what that means for purposes of your side-by-side, scrolling down to section 5, changing what they had as a continuation of the program, which meant that it was going to be those $200 incentives, just saying it's for an e-bike incentive program.
What the agency is authorized to spend up to $50,000 on what? What does that mean? I mean, are they going to start a program, or are they going? What are they going to use the $50,000 for?
So I see Michelle, so I'll just let her answer your question.
Okay.
Good morning, committee members. So we have been working with the consultant who is going to administer this program over the past 6 months on both all of the incentive programs, because we're transitioning all of the incentive programs to this contractor. They are ready to launch this e-bike program with last year's $50,000. Probably in July sometime. And so what will happen with this program, we'll have the $50,000 from last year. If you pass it, we'll have the new $50,000, so $100,000 program. And what we will do is structure the awards so that the award would be a percentage of the cost of the bike up to $200 is the maximum incentive you could receive. And I haven't sat down to put pen to paper to figure out, is that 10%, is that 15%? You know, I want to sort of keep it somewhere in line with the making the $200 incentive be appropriate for the scale of the purchase.
It's 9 o'clock.
Sorry, I changed it.
Sorry.
That was my bad.
Apologize. I thought it was 9 o'clock.
Senator Chip,
I screwed it up. I apologize.
He's bear hunting, bear hunting.
Yeah.
Bear hunting.
Yep, go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Welcome, Senator Kitchell. So basically, the maximum $200 incentive per bicycle purchase, and then, for a percentage of the cost up to that maximum of 200. And that would be the way we would structure it.
So we are still going to give up to $200 on a bike, electric bike.
That's the way it had been set yesterday.
Up to. Okay, I thought it was,
Or it could be a percentage or
Right.
$200, whatever's less.
Okay,
So if
yeah.
somebody goes to Costco, they won't get $200, they get 25.
So what does that mean? You have to buy a $3,000 bike to get $200, or that didn't determine?
We'll
Well-
figure that out. We're leaving it up.
So we are gonna have a program that's going to incentivize electric bikes.
Yeah. We have one already, really.
Right, we started one last year.
Oh, God, what a waste. I still get it.
Your sentiment hasn't changed in the intervening years.
No, it hasn't changed
hasn't.
at all, because I don't know what we're doing. Number one, it doesn't replace gasoline engines. We're not helping the environment. Number two, that bike's supposed to be for exercise. And number three, there's no rules and regulations on that bike.
Otherwise, you love it.
Otherwise, I love it.
Oh,
How we're turning out electric bikes, I still can't believe we're turning out electric bikes on the highway with no mandates, no restrictions, no rules, no regulations. And we're giving them money to do it.
What's the world coming to?
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Right? You agree with me, do you?
I'm not saying I agree with anything that you're asking for me right now.
Electric bikes incentive, it's a waste,
Okay.
right? Yeah. You must support electric bikes incentive.
You didn't know you were gonna get quizzed.
Sense. Did you-
You can sit down over there.
I realize I'm the only woman in this room. Oh, Michelle, you're physically present,
yeah.
as I'm looking around all these suits.
Yeah,
Look at the
I
suits.
can tell you with the three of you,
First time it's ever happened.
I can tell you with the three of you, we're gonna have to bring reinforcements.
I spoke my piece, that's it, I'm done.
Okay,
So,
well, that was part of basically, we had gone away with that, but it was part of what the House had brought back, and we were,
I don't know why the House is doing it, but a lot of things I don't understand why they do.
so are we closing that out? Is that what we're doing with
That's what I would like to do.
and that's what I'd like to do.
declare victory?
Well, I'm happy as hell to do it. Yeah, I have to control my emotions.
Oh, I saw that happen. This-
You know when to play and when to fold.
Yeah.
This is the one I'd fall on my
Look
foot.
around and I've got any support.
Yeah, last time I saw that happiness, it was at a funeral.
Hey, thanks a lot.
What else,
Okay.
what else have you got to make the chairs
Yeah.
day?
Gotta make my day another one.
The airport.
Oh, the
Yeah.
airport. Oh,
Okay,
The
what's
third-
next?
Third is.
Okay, so the other thing, I'm just gonna skip to your fourth and fifth instances of amendment since they are related. They are making changes to the e-bike incentive program looking back. So if you looked at the text that was included in the T-bill last year, it was $200 for an incentive. And since now you're giving the agency the flexibility to do something based on cost, on a percentage, you are in your two sections that are going back and changing the last T-bill, the one that's applicable for fiscal year 2022 and for where that first $50,000 was. In the fourth instance of amendment, you are striking out the $200, so it would just be an incentive of an amount. And then in the parameters of the program, what was section 28, it would say that the Agency of Transportation, I took out the in consultation with Vermont Electric Distribution Utilities, since now they have their contract with the Center for Sustainable, I might get that wrong, Sustainability. So it would just say the Agency of Transportation shall expand upon the vehicle incentive programs established under the 2019 T-bill to provide incentives to individuals who purchase new bicycles. And then in subdivision 1, instead of distributing a $200 incentive on a first come, first served basis, it would just be distribute incentives on a first come, first served basis. The way that that one looks in your side-by-side, you've got the $200 being struck there, highlighted in green. And then you are including a little bit more text in section 23, amendments to the prior T-bill. And that's where you have your change to take out the $200 incentive amount.
And Michelle likes that because it means having just one program rather than different
Yep.
rules.
They wouldn't have to start it up with $200 incentives and then change it once they hit the end of that first $50,000.
Oh, we want to keep Michelle happy, don't we?
Well, she's not working hard to keep me happy, so.
Yes, you.
She can't hear me.
Yeah.
Just as well.
Hi, Michelle. I love you. Okay.
I think we should, that's the language we requested yesterday. I mean,
that's what we-
Michelle
yeah.
requested, we thought it made sense to have just one program, so. I'm sure the House will agree, or have they seen this yet?
Look, this is your deal. Go right ahead, you guys.
Well, the House hasn't seen this yet.
I don't think so.
No, we're
The house
just-
is sitting there. He's listening.
We'd agree with it yesterday, and
You got off on your corner in this one, right?
You rolled the chair, but that's all right.
We're just trying to get to yes.
then, yeah, we're trying to get to May 6th.
Yeah, go right ahead.
May 6th.
And Thea, the language on page 8 that was language that the House had done to deal with the administration cost of the electric bicycle.
Yeah, so the last piece, the subdivisions, B1 and B2, that was how you got your up to $5,000 for administrative costs being pulled from replace your ride. And this just then says that if the $5,000 doesn't need to be used for administrative costs, the only place it can go back to is the administrative costs for replace your ride. And that language has not changed. It was in the first iteration of the T-bill as requested by the Agency of Transportation, and no one has made changes to it along the way.
So we don't, it's just here because we're changing out section
Yeah, it's
in
here
our
because
instances of amendment.
yeah, so because the language that was included, and I'll go to the side by side so that you can see it, because the language it says, and this is what was in your strike all amendment, 2021 acts and resolves number 55, section 28B is amended to read, and now you're amending 28A. Theoretically, I could just insert a new section. So you would have one section that amended 28A and one section that amended 28B from the last T-bill. And I thought that would be more confusing. But if you want me to, so that you don't have the language that's on page 8 appearing in your amendment needing to be explained on the floor, I certainly can draft it so that you don't need to see it again.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I was just making sure that that's why it was there. That
Yep.
Wasn't for some others.
Nope, only reason it's there is because it was already in the bill and it was easier to just stick the amendment there. And if you look at your side by side and you see your progression of highlighting or lack thereof, it hasn't changed from your strike, from what they introduced and passed to your strike all amendment to their further proposal amendment to this. It's been the same all through.
Okay.
Do we have a committee of conference or is this just sort of back and forth at this point?
We have not won a committee conference, and we're just waiting for the House to decide what we did yesterday, whether they,
The wisdom of our ways.
yeah, I don't know, this Representative Shaw is probably here this morning, tell us we gave you everything you wanted, you went over it?
I'm just a casual citizen observer this morning, Senator.
Go ahead, seriously, have you gone over what we did yesterday?
I haven't,
You haven't?
I don't see much seat at 10 o'clock.
Talk about, is this what we did yesterday, that we're going over now?
Well, yeah, no,
On the miscellaneous.
Yeah.
In the T-bill.
gave you everything you wanted, so what do you want?
So we'll have to decide.
You
So
didn't agree on the Burlington Airport.
Well, that's, that's the only thing we kept, everything else we gave them, so if they don't want that, we'll be here till
Well, last year you
Christmas.
gave everything.
That's right, we gave them everything, yeah. Just that little language in Burlington, but they can't figure that one out. We'll be here in July, I don't care.
So now we're on to the airport?
Do we have a-
I'll take the blue lights back, I'll tell you that.
Oh,
I'm gonna put Amber lights on.
disco balls, I think.
Disco balls.
Yeah, disco.
Disco balls on them.
Okay, go right ahead, sorry.
Okay, so then your last instance of amendment, which you were talking about now, is taking in full the language that you had as section 17 for the Burlington International Airport Study Committee and substituting it for what they had substituted for it for their working group. So if you were looking at the progression of language, we are going back with this amendment to what you originally had as section 17. The only change, and this is just correcting something that there was confusion on and a miscommunication, in subdivision B2, the source of the $15,000 that would be used for the non-federal match to get that $150,000 in total. So to draw down that $135,000 that you see on line 12, instead of it coming from the $500,000 pot of money for the non-federal match for construction projects at the airport, it would instead be coming from statewide aviation operations and maintenance. So you are preserving with this small change, the $500,000 to draw down federal funds for projects at the Burlington International Airport, and instead taking the $15,000 state to draw down the $135,000 for the study from this other statewide general aviation bucket of money.
Which is what we had thought,
Yes,
agreed.
it is what you thought you had done.
Now you're just correcting.
Yes,
Okay.
Chris.
Yes.
And Mr. Chair, I just wanted to point out that should the committee agree to this change, you will see one really, really small change to the numbers on these sheets that we handed out yesterday. The aviation program B901, you will just see the federal appropriation increase by $135,000. So this is a wash to the T fund, it's net neutral. We would just increase the federal appropriation.
Because you want the spending authority.
Exactly, and it's a placeholder for the 90% share that the FAA would pay for the study. So I just wanted to flag that as one number change you'll see that wasn't reflected on what you saw yesterday, but would be reflected on the subsequent versions.
Well, Representative Shaw, you just can agree right now, we can wrap this right up.
Did you say something, Senator?
Now, certainly you're here for a reason, so tell us what you
I
want.
just came down because you waved at me in the cafeteria, Senator, and I said, well, I'll stop by and see.
I was trying to be nice to you, but you know.
Thank you, Senator, I appreciate it.
So, we should just, do we need to take official action, or this is what we're gonna get back?
That's what we agreed to yesterday.
We did that yesterday.
We reviewed the language today.
Yeah.
Guess the question is, do we present it as further, is it an amendment, or do we want to go to a conference? Or do we need to talk to, if we were to meet any members of the House Transportation Committee? today?
Well,
Well, sometimes
should
you
we
can
give them
do
a
it.
chance to concur?
I wish, seriously, if you and the chair could get together with Chris or someone, just go over what we did for Antia. It would be very helpful, then we can either wrap this thing up seriously.
You're talking to Representative Shaw, not me.
No, if I went to you, it would be for $3 million. We were passing out money just like water.
So just for matter of process, you're taking this to the floor today?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, you could do like they do with the capital bill and just come back, and then there's agreement, and you,
Right.
without forming
It was
a.
like, seriously, we did everything else, I think, was an agreement, it was just that the language, and to be honest with you, all joking aside, the language is, I don't know why anybody would not like our language, we got people together, it's not gonna threaten Burlington, it's not taking money away, from it, it's just,
And I think that if we would have the language right to begin with and showed you where the funds were coming from, and it wasn't coming out of the Burlington monies at all, it was coming out of federal funds other than 15,000 from the state, that probably could have made a difference with you guys.
as much as they're, I don't know if they were.
We'll take that, we'll start.
And I'm willing to go over it with anybody
Yeah.
if you want, because a good question for us, it's just, we would save time if we knew which way the House was gonna go.
I'd just like to get it wrapped up sooner rather than later.
I think we're all on the same page on that.
Yeah, so we can go and do that today sometime, or whatever you want to do. We're at your
The
disposal.
conference committee might be quicker if there's still a disagreement, but if you're gonna concur, then we could just send it over as a further. And
Don't forget that.
So this is, we're finished going through everything then.
Anything else up there, ladies?
So the only thing that I would just point out, because you wanted to circle back to it when Senator Kitchell was in the room, was by being silent on it, you are agreeing with their 9th instance of amendment, which is the language to pull the money for structures and class 2 roadway from maintenance, but then have that sort of reappropriated first priority language. You just wanted to give Senator Kitchell the opportunity to weigh in again when she was in the room.
Oh, okay, well, thank you for the courtesy, but I think it gets to the same place, and so I think if we concur with that, then the governance report study could.
So Michelle, you got everything you needed? Yeah, I wish I could say the same, thank you.
We're gonna consult with your family about.
Oh, my God.
Finish
So,
your birthday in
is everything
August.
okay, or did your milk sour on your cornflakes this morning, or? are you okay?
We're gonna get
I
you
just-
started.
Must be the steak was a little bit gone by.
I always try to be fair to this committee, but I don't get it returned.
He's gonna be selling electric bikes at Big Mazda store. I think.